in this world of noise and distraction. We have forgotten the simple truth. The most important voice is the one inside us. That voice is your heart. And it's time we paid attention. Your heart is not just a muscle pumping blood. It's the core of who you are. It's your compass in life's storms, your guide in moments of doubt, and your cheerleader when you need it most. It only works if you listen. I know what you are thinking. Listen to my heart. That sounds nice. But I've got bills to pay, deadlines to meet, and a world that doesn't stop spinning just because I want to soul search. And you are right. Life is busy, it's loud, and it's demanding. But that's exactly why listening to your heart is more important now than ever before. How many times have you made a decision that looked good on paper, but felt wrong in your gut? How often have you ignored that little voice inside only to regret it later? We have all been there. We choose the safe job over the risky passion project. We stay in relationships that look perfect from the outside but leave us feeling empty inside. We follow paths laid out by others, forgetting that we are the ones who have to walk them. Safety is an illusion. The only real security in this world comes from being true to yourself. And to be true to yourself, you need to listen to your heart. I am not saying it's easy. Listening to your heart takes courage. It takes practice sometimes. It even takes a bit of rebellion against everything society has told you about how life should be lived. But let me tell you something that's worth it. When you start listening to your heart, magic happens. Suddenly, you are not just going through the motions, you are living with purpose. You are making decisions that align with your true self. There's no greater feeling in the world than knowing you are on the right path, your path. But how do we do it? How do we tune into that inner voice when the world is so loud? It starts with silence. Yes, silence in a world that's always buzzing, beeping, and blaring. Silence has become a rare commodity. But it's in those quiet moments that your heart speaks loudest. Take 5 minutes each day to just be still. No phone, no TV, no distractions. Just you and your thoughts. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. Your mind might race. You might feel the urge to grab your phone or find something, anything to fill the silence. Resist that urge. Stay with it. Because in that silence, beneath the chatter of your mind, your heart is waiting to be heard. As you practice this, you will start to notice something. That little voice inside, it gets clearer, stronger, more insistent. The more you listen, the easier it becomes to hear. But listening is just the first step. The real challenge and the real reward comes when you start acting on what you hear. This is where many of us falter. We hear what our heart is telling us, but we let fear, doubt, or practicality talk us out of it. Your heart is smarter than your fears. It's wiser than your doubts. And it knows what you need far better than any notion of practicality ever could. The great innovators, leaders, and change makers throughout history, do you think they got where they are by ignoring their heart's call? No, they listened, they trusted, and they acted. Even when the world told them they were crazy. Steve Jobs did not revolutionize technology by playing it safe. Mother Teresa did not change countless lives by ignoring your heart's compassion. Martin Luther King Jr. did not spark a movement by staying quiet when his heart cried out for justice. These people changed the world not because they were smarter or luckier or more talented than everyone else. They changed the world because they had the courage to listen to their hearts and act on what they heard. I am not saying you need to change the whole world. Maybe your heart is calling you to change your career, to mend a relationship, or simply to be kinder to yourself. Whatever it is, it matters. Because when you honor your heart's wisdom, you are not just changing your life, you are changing the lives of everyone around you. when you are living in alignment with your heart. You radiate a different energy. You inspire others. You become a living, breathing example of what's possible when we have the courage to be true to ourselves. This journey is not always smooth. There will be times when listening to your heart feels like the hardest thing in the world. Times when doubt creeps in. When fear whispers that you are making a mistake. When the path ahead looks unclear and treacherous. Your heart has been with you since the day you were born. It's seen you through every triumph and every tragedy. It knows your strengths, your weaknesses, your deepest desires, and your greatest fears. Trust it. It won't lead you astray. The path your heart lays out for you might not be the easiest one. It might not be the most direct. But I promise you this, it will be the most fulfilling. Because when you follow your heart, you are not just reaching a destination. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be. Some of you might be thinking, that sounds great, but my heart is not telling me anything. I don't hear this inner voice everyone talks about if that's you. Don't worry, your heart is speaking. You might just need to learn its language. Your heart doesn't always communicate in words. Sometimes it speaks through feelings of tightness in your chest when something's not right, a lightness in your step when you are on the right track. Sometimes it speaks through recurring thoughts or dreams, and sometimes it speaks through the reactions of your body, that gut feeling we often ignore. Learning to understand these signals takes time and practice, but it's a skill worth developing. Because once you master it, you will have access to the most powerful guidance system in the universe, your own inner wisdom. Remember that it's not about making perfect decisions. It's about making authentic ones. It's about living a life that feels true to you, not a life that looks good to others. Listening to your heart doesn't mean ignoring your head. Your mind is a powerful tool, and you shouldn't discard its input. The key is to find balance. Let your heart set the destination, and let your mind figure out how to get there. Your heart is the visionary, dreaming up where you want to go. Your mind is the strategist, planning the route. Both are essential. But too often, we let our minds take over, completely dismissing our heart's wisdom as impractical or unrealistic. When we do that, we might reach a destination, but it's rarely the one that brings us true fulfillment. Listening to your heart doesn't mean being selfish. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When you are true to yourself, you are in a much better position to serve others. You have more to give because you are operating from a place of authenticity and strength. The last time you did something you really did not want to do, just because you thought you should, how much energy did you have for it? How much joy did you bring to the task? Now compare that to times when you have acted from a place of genuine desire to help or create. The difference is night and day, is not it? When you listen to your heart, you tap into a wellspring of energy and enthusiasm that benefits not just you, but everyone around you. You become a source of inspiration, a beacon of authenticity in a world that desperately needs it. This is not about waiting for some grand, earth-shattering message from your heart. Sometimes the heart speaks in whispers, guiding us in small, everyday decisions that, over time, shape the course of our lives. Maybe your heart is telling you to call that friend you have been thinking about. Maybe it's nudging you to try that new hobby you have been curious about. Maybe it's encouraging you to speak up in that meeting, even though the thought makes you nervous. These might seem like small things, but they are not. They are the building blocks of a life lived with purpose and authenticity. Each time you honor these small promptings, you are strengthening your connection to your heart. You are building trust in your own inner guidance. The more you listen, the clearer the messages become. It's like tuning a radio. At first, there might be static, and you might doubt whether you are on the right frequency. But as you keep listening, keep adjusting, the signal gets stronger. The message becomes clearer. I want to address something that many of us struggle with: the fear of making mistakes. We often hesitate to follow our hearts because we are afraid of getting it wrong. But here's the truth: there are no mistakes when you are listening to your heart. There are only lessons. Even if a decision doesn't work out the way you hoped, if you made it by listening to your heart, you will have gained something valuable. You will have grown. You will have learned. And most importantly, you will have strengthened your trust in yourself. Remember, your heart is not just guiding you towards success, it's guiding you towards growth. And sometimes growth comes wrapped in packages we don't expect. That failure might just be the setup for your greatest triumph. That wrong turn might lead you to exactly where you need to be. So, don't let the fear of making mistakes keep you from listening to your heart. Embrace the journey with all its twists and turns. Trust that your heart knows the way, even when the path is not clear to your eyes. The expectations of others. We live in a world full of shoulds and shouldn'ts. A world where everyone seems to have an opinion on how we should live our lives. Your parents might have a certain career in mind for you. Society might tell you that success looks a certain way. Your friends might have ideas about the kind of person you should be with, or the kind of life you should live. And it's so easy to let these external voices drown out the voice of your heart. But no one else has to live your life. No one else has to wake up every morning in your skin, facing your challenges, carrying your dreams. That's all you. So why would you let someone else's expectations dictate your path? Why would you silence your heart to please others who, no matter how well-meaning, can never fully understand your unique journey? Listening to your heart often means having the courage to disappoint others. It means being willing to go against the grain, to challenge the status quo, to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's not popular. The momentary discomfort of disappointing others is nothing compared to the lasting pain of disappointing yourself. The people who truly love you, who truly have your best interests at heart, will come around. They will see your joy, your growth, your authenticity, and they will understand. And those who don't, well, they are showing you something important about their place in your life. I want to talk about something that often gets overlooked when we discuss following our hearts: the importance of patience. Your heart knows where you need to go, but it doesn't always reveal the entire journey at once. Sometimes it shows you just the next step, and that can be frustrating. We live in a world of instant gratification, a world where we want to see the entire path laid out before us. But life doesn't work that way, and neither does the heart. Your heart's wisdom unfolds gradually, revealing itself as you are ready to receive it. It's like climbing a mountain. You can't see the summit from the base. But as you climb, new vistas open up. Each step reveals a bit more of the journey. So, be patient with yourself. Be patient with your heart. Trust that each step you take in alignment with your heart's guidance is bringing you closer to where you need to be, even if you can't see the final destination yet. And remember, the journey of listening to your heart is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong practice. Your heart will continue to speak to you, to guide you, to challenge you to grow and evolve. The key is to stay open, to keep listening, to keep trusting. You will likely face resistance, not just from others, but from within yourself. That's normal. We all have inner critics, Voices of doubt that try to keep us safe by keeping us small. That voice of doubt is not your heart. Your heart speaks with love, with encouragement, with a deep knowing that you are capable of great things. Learn to distinguish between the voice of fear and the voice of your heart. It's a skill that will serve you well throughout your life. And as you learn to listen to your heart, as you begin to align your life with its guidance, something magical happens. You start to feel a sense of flow, a sense of rightness in your life. Things that once seemed difficult become easier. Opportunities start to appear as if by magic. This is not some mystical phenomenon. It's simply what happens when you are in alignment with your true self. When you are following your heart's guidance, you are tapping into your own unique gifts and strengths. You are operating from a place of authenticity and power. But remember, this doesn't mean life will always be easy. Challenges will still come. Obstacles will still arise. But when you are listening to your heart, you will face these challenges with a different energy. You will have a deep, unshakable knowing that you are on the right path. Even when that path gets rocky, it connects you more deeply to others. When you are living authentically, you inspire others to do the same. You create a ripple effect of authenticity and courage that can transform not just your life, but the lives of those around you, the people you admire most. Chances are, there are people who have had the courage to listen to their hearts, to forge their own paths, to live life on their own terms. By listening to your heart, you become one of those people. You become a source of inspiration and strength for others. You might be thinking, this all sounds great, but I've made decisions in the past that weren't in line with my heart. I've ignored my inner voice for so long. Is it too late for me? It is never too late to start listening to your heart. Your heart's wisdom doesn't have an expiration date. It doesn't give up on you, no matter how long you have ignored it. It's always there, always ready to guide you, always ready to welcome you back. In fact, those past experiences of not listening to your heart, they are valuable. They have shown you the contrast between living from your heart and living from fear or obligation. They have given you the wisdom to appreciate the power of following your heart's guidance. So, if you feel like you have been off track, don't beat yourself up instead. Celebrate because you are awakening to your heart's wisdom now. Celebrate because every moment is a new opportunity to align with your true self. Starting today, make a commitment to listen to your heart. Make space for silence. Pay attention to those subtle nudges, those feelings of excitement or trepidation. Trust the wisdom that resides within you. It won't always be easy. There will be times when your heart asks you to take leaps that scare you. There will be times when following your heart means going against the crowd. But I promise you this, it will always be worth it. Because when you listen to your heart, you are not just changing your life, you are changing the world. You are showing others what's possible when we have the courage to be true to ourselves. You are creating a life that's not just successful by external standards, but deeply, so satisfyingly fulfilling. Remember, your heart has been with you from the beginning. It knows your deepest desires, your greatest strengths, and the unique gifts you have to offer the world. It's been patiently waiting for you to listen. So, will you listen? Will you have the courage to follow where your heart leads? Will you dare to live a life that's true to your deepest self? The choice is yours. Every moment, every decision is an opportunity to align with your heart's wisdom. Imagine waking up each morning with a sense of purpose and excitement. Not because your life is perfect, but because you know you are on the right path, your path. That's what listening to your heart can do for you. But it requires courage. It requires faith not in some external force, but in yourself. In the wisdom that resides within you. It requires a willingness to let go of what you think you should be and embrace who you truly are. Listening to your heart means being willing to ask the tough questions. What do I really want? What brings me joy? What makes me feel alive? These aren't always easy questions to answer, especially if you have spent years ignoring your inner voice. But they are questions worth asking as you start to listen. You might be surprised by what you hear. Your heart might call you to forgive someone you thought you'd never forgive. It might urge you to take a risk you have been avoiding. It might whisper that it's time to let go of something you have been clinging to. Whatever your heart tells you, know this: its guidance comes from a place of love, not the fleeting. Conditional love we often experience in the world, but a deep, abiding love for who you are at your core. Your heart knows your true worth. It knows your potential. And it will never, ever ask you to shrink yourself to fit someone else's expectations. When you listen to your heart, you start to see the world differently. You begin to recognize the beauty in small moments. You find gratitude in unexpected places. You discover strength you did not know you had. This is because your heart doesn't just guide you towards external goals. It guides you towards inner growth, towards becoming the fullest, most authentic version of yourself. When you honor your heart's wisdom, you give others permission to do the same. You become a living example of what's possible when we have the courage to be true to ourselves. The impact you could have, not by preaching or trying to change others, but simply by living authentically, by showing up each day as your true self. That's how real change happens. That's how we create a world where everyone feels free to be who they truly are. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what if my heart leads me astray? What if I listen and things don't work out? It's a valid concern. Even if things don't work out as you expected, you haven't failed. You have grown, you have learned, you have taken a step towards living authentically. Remember, your heart is not calling you to a destination. It's calling you to a journey of self-discovery, of growth, of becoming. And on that journey, there are no wrong turns, only opportunities to learn and evolve. Listening to your heart doesn't mean you will never face challenges. It doesn't mean life will always be easy. But it does mean that you will face those challenges from a place of authenticity and strength. You will know that no matter what happens, you are being true to yourself. And that's a powerful place to be. Because when you are aligned with your heart, you tap into a wellspring of resilience. You find strength you did not know you had. You discover creative solutions to problems that once seemed insurmountable. Your heart is wise beyond measure. It holds the accumulated wisdom of your entire life experience. Every joy, every sorrow, every triumph, every setback, your heart has absorbed the lessons from all of these and woven them into its guidance. So when you listen to your heart, you are not just listening to a fleeting emotion. You are tuning into a profound source of wisdom that knows you better than anyone else ever could. This wisdom can guide you in every area of your life. In your relationships, it can help you discern who to let in and who to let go. In your career, it can steer you towards work that's not just profitable, but deeply fulfilling. In your personal growth, it can show you exactly what you need to learn and where you need to heal. You have to be willing to listen, not just when it's convenient, not just when its guidance aligns with what you think you want, but always, even when, especially when its whispers challenge your assumptions or push you out of your comfort zone. Because that's where the magic happens. That's where growth occurs. That's where you discover what you are truly capable of. Listening to your heart requires practice. It's a skill you develop over time. At first, you might only hear its whispers occasionally. But the more you listen, the clearer its voice becomes. Take a few minutes each day to sit in silence and tune into your inner world. Pay attention to how you feel throughout the day. Notice what lights you up and what drains your energy. These are all ways your heart communicates with you. As you develop this practice, you will start to notice patterns. You will begin to recognize the difference between your heart's wisdom and the chatter of your mind. You will learn to distinguish between fear-based thoughts and heart-centered guidance. And as you do, you will find yourself naturally making choices that align with your true self. Not because you are forcing yourself to, but because it feels right. Because it resonates with who you are at your core. This is where true freedom lies. Not in doing whatever you want in the moment, but in aligning your actions with your deepest truths. In living a life that's a true expression of who you are. When you listen to your heart, you stop seeking validation from the outside world. You no longer need others to approve of your choices because you know in your bones that you are on the right path. This doesn't mean you become selfish or inconsiderate of others. Quite the opposite. When you are aligned with your heart, you are able to give more freely, to love more deeply, to contribute more meaningfully to the world around you. Your heart will never guide you to harm others or to diminish yourself. Its wisdom comes from a place of love for yourself and love for all of life. So when you follow your heart, you are not just serving yourself, you are serving the world. You are bringing your unique gifts, your authentic self, into a world that desperately needs it. Imagine a world where everyone listened to their hearts, where we all had the courage to be true to ourselves. What kind of world would that be? What problems could we solve? What beauty could we create? That word begins with you. With your choice to listen to your heart. With your commitment to living authentically. It's not always an easy path. There will be times when your heart asks you to take leaps that terrify you. There will be times when its guidance goes against everything you have been taught to believe. But I promise you this, every time you choose to listen, every time you have the courage to follow your heart's guidance, you are taking a step towards a life of true fulfillment, a life of purpose, a life that's uniquely, beautifully yours. So I ask you again, will you dare to live a life that's true? Will you have the courage to listen to your heart, to follow where it leads, to become the person you are truly meant to be? Remember, in the quiet moments, in the spaces between the noise of daily life, your heart speaks. It speaks of your dreams, your potential, your true path. It speaks of a life lived with courage, with authenticity, with love. Are you ready to listen? Are you ready to embark on the greatest adventure of your life, the journey to your true self? Your heart is calling. The time is now. Listen, trust, follow. And watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. Your heart knows the way. Trust it. Follow it. And step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. The world is waiting for the gift that only you can give, the gift of your authentic self. So listen to your heart and let your true light shine. The world will be brighter for it.